Hello, you are listening to the OmniTalk Fast Five, brought to you in partnership with the A&M Consumer and Retail Group, Firework, SPS Commerce, and Sezzle. All right, headline number 3, Google has started testing generative AI for search and ads. According to Marketing Dive, the use of AI is meant to take some of the heavy lifting out of search, answering not only the initial user query in detail, but also offering follow-up suggestions and links while preserving context from question to question. User experience-wise, Google also said that its ads will appear in dedicated slots in AI-generated responses, similar to how they surface in conventional search today. And on the shopping front, Google's AI-powered search will draw on a Google shopping graph of over 35 billion product listings to present recent reviews, ratings, prices, and product images that can inform purchasing decisions. Dave Ritter, let's go to you first. I have a two-parter for you on this, Dave. First, I want to know what you think this means for Google and the whole Google search landscape as they try to, hold on for dear life and not be overtaken. And second, what are you advising clients to do that you're working with in regards to AI more generally? Like, how are you telling retailers and brands that you work with to approach using AI in operations?
So your first question, I think this is a great move by Google. I think it's a natural evolution. I don't know about you, but when I search, I often have to search 2, 3, 4 times to get the comprehensive answer to the question that I was trying to get the answer to. This feels like that will streamline the user experience and get you a more comprehensive, correct, kind of full answer faster, right? In terms of our clients, when ChatGPT came out, I can't tell you how many of our clients, board members, C-suite, reached out and was like, "What is
Phones
this?
were
How's
ringing."
doing it?" It was actually, there's a few times in my career that an event has really triggered outreach at that level.
Really?
So it is a hot topic for our clients. And they've started to dip a toe in the water in terms of using it, but it's mostly in places like corporate communications. If you're going to issue a statement, have ChatGPT write it, the first draft for you. Pretty simple things like that. I think what we're telling our clients is that a more comprehensive view makes sense, because effectively this is this should be thought of as a form of automation, and it has pretty wide ranging uses, from whether it's in due diligence, collecting benchmarks, all the way to HR and writing job descriptions, like that. Sure. Across the gamut of retail, specifically retail support. There's a lot of opportunities here, and frankly, if you take a piecemeal approach, I don't think you ever get great execution. So we're encouraging people to think about it in a programmatic fashion.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thinking about those operational things, just like taking the first pass out of it, removing those mundane, like just the assembly, and then leveraging the intellect of your human workforce to kind of augment that a little bit, it sounds like.
Exactly.
Yeah. David Brown, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, no, I think it's a great move by Google as well, right? To me, I think the race on the AI front and search is really what personalization was meant to be, and a lot of the retailers couldn't figure out. I think it's going to get figured out for them in some ways, right? So now, I make a query, and if I can get a lot better answer to that query, that's effectively a form of personalization. Now, right. I think the retailers have to figure out how they provide the right input into the algorithms so that they bounce out on top, right? It's what's the next version of, I'm going to pay for this keyword, or search engine optimization. How do you actually beat the AI algorithm to get your product, your company, your answer into Google's answer or Bing's answer, or whoever it's going to be, right? Or ChatGPT or whatever. And then on the company front, I completely agree with Dave. It's a programmatic approach. It's an automation play. It's about getting better answers, and but you better be comfortable with the answers that you get and be able to deal with that. Whether it's on the HR front, or we're seeing a lot on the supply chain front with a lot of startups that are trying to automate supply chain answers.
Right.
And inventory management and planning. So it's at the infancy. we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, great point on the SEO. Like just getting retailers and brands to rethink, how am I going to get my products to show up? And Chris, I'm curious what you think, especially when we talk about like the shopping angle of this. Like when you're looking for, like, how does this change how Google's approaching commerce?
Yeah, I think that's the really interesting point here. And that's probably more longer term, but I think it's important to call out. I think it's a great question, Ann. Like to me, I think if Google is smart about this, I wonder if this isn't also what jumpstarts their commerce efforts.
Yep.
Because if you think about it, they have had the data for a long time to be the be all end all marketplace, but they've just never been able to get their act together. So could this be the lighter fluid? Possibly. If I'm a betting man, I would still say no. But it's a really interesting question to think about in the long term, because you have the intersection of three things happening here, right? You have our nature to search as consumers, intersecting with AI, and then intersecting with a commerce platform or a new version of that, something that we don't really know what that is yet. That is going to happen. And that'll be the next big transition in commerce, similar to e-commerce, the mobile phone. At least that's what I'm betting on now
100%.
happening. And the race is on, and Google stands to have as good a chance of anyone as winning that. I start to think about, what does this mean for Amazon? That's what I started reading in this story for the strength of their commerce platform long-term. Now they've got a lot of, bullets in the chamber that, they can defend themselves against that. And they're thinking about this. They released this same week too, right? And they said they're putting this into their search as well. So they're likely thinking about that as well. But, what that commerce platform of the future looks like that's driven by AI is the really interesting question to me here.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's such an important call out, Chris. And what we really need to think about is that this is an entirely new way of shopping for the consumer. This is a new channel. This is not just, I'm searching in a different way and I'm going to have a back and forth. Like this is taking voice that we talked about years ago when the like Google and Alexa devices came out, and it was like, yeah, it's great to be able to say like, I need to make something for dinner tonight. What should I make? Like this is now serving that up in an entirely different way. It's going to be a back and forth that we as consumers haven't had before. It's like what Dave Ritter said. You have to type in 3 times to get the answer that you want. And I think that's what I'm going to be. I agree with you on the commerce. I think the Google commerce front, I think this is a huge opportunity for Google, 35 billion products that they have in their product universe to serve up to me through this exchange, this new way of shopping. But I think it all comes down to, what are the search results like? Which what David Brown was saying, how good are my keywords to serve up the right products? Because if it's just like, the Google shopping search now, where I just get inundated with whoever paid the most for the search or for the return results, not what I'm actually looking for as a consumer, it's not going to work. They have to really get in there and make sure that the key words that they're pulling from the conversation with me are serving me up a product that's going to save me time. Otherwise, this doesn't work.
Yeah, it's a good point, Ann. Yeah, when I step back and think about everything you just said and everything that Dave and David just said, is like, I'd be using AI to clean up my data first and foremost as a retailer. That'd be where I would be starting. Dave, one question for you, because you mentioned it, because it really stuck with me. You said, you've been a consultant for a lot of years now. I won't date you, but it's a good amount of time. And you said this is one of those seminal moments for you. What were some of those other ones? Was it like the mobile phone? Was it e-commerce?
I was going to give him a hard time and be like color TV.
Yeah, right. The radio. What was it, David?
So one of the big ones was Walmart went to $4 generics. Every drugstore chain in the world just stopped. I mean, it was insane.
Yeah.
I think that the rise of mobile has obviously been one. To be perfectly candid, there's not that many, right? There's only 3 or 4. So yeah, it's a big deal.
Well, the other thing, we always talk about how every 30 to 40 years, retail innovation cycles, there's some new commerce platform that develops. You had the e-commerce, you had the mobile phone, and we're kind of at that next kind of stage gate of when something new is going to happen. So